Jesus Christ. Ready or not is. It's a SWAT simulator that's technically still in beta, but you can buy it on Steam, where you can go through levels, finished or not, with your friends or AI companions. Now I know what you're thinking. Shveb, isn't sim games for dads, Germans, and psychotic teenagers with 9 keyboards? Yes, but unlike those other games, this one actually has a tone and a creative vision. And even if that tone turns out to be edgy controversy, it still merits a closer look. Void Interactive has hinted at a campaign at some point, but who knows when that will be. It's also really, and I mean capital, impact font, gradient, spacing, really fucked up. Like, go watch the trailer. It implies there might be a school shooter level.
You wrote some really disturbing fan fiction.
The absolute horror is constant. It is lovingly placed around the map for you to find and give you chills down your spine while you're already fearing for your fucking life. Take for example, one of the more fucked up levels in the game, Neon Tomb. The mission briefing simply states, US airstrikes have targeted villages housing a notorious terrorist group in northern Yemen, which has ties to US cells. One such cell is known as The Hand, who have enacted a domestic response to the military incursion. Your mission is to detain the suspects and rescue civilians. Simple enough. There isn't many left to rescue. You are immediately met with corpses everywhere. And as we clear room by nerve-wracking room, pounding music never stops. But also I keep hearing and seeing phones everywhere.
Talk reporting.
What's up with that? Then not remember, the dead. It's their loved ones.
Roger, entry team. Framework. Keep going.
Chills. And now something weird happens. If this was some normal shooter action game, I think this stuff would be too much. But Ready or Not is actually a horror game.
Get it! Open the gate! Open the gate!
Get down, I want to see hands.
You are not mowing down baddies. You are just some badly outnumbered guy fighting actual fucking monsters. Ooh, the real monster is man. Yeah, I know. It might be too far, but at least it doesn't do the whole genocide baiting thing COD used to love. You're not gonna believe what war crime we're committing this time. Ready or Not takes itself seriously, almost too seriously. It might be fetishizing crimes against humanity, but at least it's not promoting Mountain Dew double XP at the same time. And it being in the horror genre might put it into what I like to call horror trauma exclusion zone. It's when the media object becomes an outlet to think about and reason with trauma en masse. Like dealing with something awful that happened to you, that is. Like Godzilla. Stick with me. An unimaginable nuclear horror devastates Tokyo and then pieces out. You can't beat Godzilla. You can't reason with Godzilla. It just destroys and then leaves. And it became incredibly popular in Japan, but I'm sure that was just a coincidence. But as the name implies, it is especially prevalent in horror games and movies. Damn near half the time it turns out the monster is actually the grief of dropping your 4-year-old into the McDonald's fryer. Or something, and the main guy just got so sad that they forgot. Those movies and games are overflowing with children getting stoned or mass murder, and yeah, we're kind of used to it by now. So we don't even really see it until it shows up maybe where it shouldn't be. You know, like a co-op shooter. It's like they put Muammar Gaddafi in Fortnite. It's not really so far off though, is it? Maybe the normalizing of just awfulness depicted in Ready or Not is maybe trying to say something and be about something. And I think that something is subjective and objective violence. Let me explain.
Let me explain.
Off-World Trading Company, a strategy game where you control a massive corporation and compete with others to see who can dominate the market on Mars. When you buy everyone else's stocks, you win. Naturally, the best way to do this is to monopolize all the water and food and then increase the prices. Business! You're essentially starving thousands and ruining countless lives. And it looks like this. Pretty boring, huh? But you aren't doing the violence. Those foolish colonists had every opportunity to learn how to code. My point is essentially, this is a much more vile act of violence than this. Subjective and objective violence are terms used by Slavoj Žižek in his book Violence. Subjective violence refers to violence that is inflicted by a clear, identifiable agent of action, as in the case of criminal activity or terrorism. Objective violence, on the other hand, has no clear perpetrator and is often overlooked in the background when subjective violence breaks out. For example, the objective violence of global poverty cannot be blamed on any one entity, and even if financial elites were to be identified as culpable, they could still be exonerated by their subjugation to a system of capitalist finance that makes the rise of an elite financial class inevitable. AKA, they're not doing it intentionally, it's just a system, but it's still violent. Okay, but like, how does this relate to the actual game? In Ready or Not, you are fighting meth heads, outlaw militia, gang criminals, human traffickers, terrorists, and the private security of rich pedophiles. But these are not without context. That context in all these cases are extreme income inequality. The militiamen say things like,
"You guys don't get it. We're trying to survive."
The streets are littered with tents. Maybe I would prefer being in a militia if the option is homelessness. The meth heads are pretty fucked up, but even they try to find some bright spot for each other in a cold world. In the nightclub, young people are cut down because the government would rather spend their time and money upholding hegemony in the Middle East, rather than save their own people. The domestic terrorists assassinate the senator who cut funding for veterans. For human traffickers and worse, the desperate and unfortunate are easy to exploit. A term popularized in the 80s is trickle-down economics, the idea that economic policies favoring the rich and corporations will eventually lead to their profits trickling down to the people. Turns out it actually just lets the rich get richer by allowing them to do more objective violence. And that trickles down. Ready or Not is good horror because it subtly represents themes that are scary. Not dropping your child in a fryer, but rather the anxiety of a deteriorating cohesion in society. Also, I just want to say that the game is really fun. Something, no such thing as a real anti-war movie, Truffaut, blah blah. And also I stole some of the ideas from this video from an old video essay by Wrecked Philosophy. Unfortunately, it's set as unlisted, and I only have it because I saved it years ago. But you should keep going, Wrecked Philosophy. I thought it was a banger. Thank you for watching, and I would just really appreciate all subscriptions. It takes a long time to make these. And I'd like to thank my incredible, smart, and sexy, and cool Patreons. You can check it out too, you know, like, if you want to. Okay, bye!
O nosso trabalho aqui é feito este ano.